It's time for another Q&A session. I got a lot of questions and I got even more answers. And a lot of people are saying, how do you do that? So let's get going with this right now. I'm Tom Kovichak, and this is Tom's Trains and Things. This channel was created to help other modelers who are in need of guidance in pursuing their dream of building a model railroad. And even though you watch the videos, there are a lot of questions on there after you saw the video. So I'm going to let you in on what those questions were and what my answers were. And there was a couple of that I didn't even have an answer for. So I sent them over to Train Room Gary because they were O-scale related. There must have been a video out there somewhere about using a dimmer switch to control your locomotives, using it as a substitute throttle, because I had a couple of questions about that. And I'm not going to name who they were, but after finding out, going back and forth about 7 times trying to find out how they wanted to use it, I found out that they had an MRC throttle, just like this one here, a Tech 2. They wanted to hook up the dimmer switch to the AC to run a locomotive, use it as another throttle. I don't know, nah. And the other person, they wanted to use the power supply that I had. I showed how to do a computer power supply, and they wanted to use the 12 volt on there with a dimmer switch. I said, nah, it's not a good idea. I said, you could go out and buy a cheap throttle for the same price as it costs for a dimmer switch, either the rotary one or the one that goes up and down the slide switch like that. So don't do it. Well, that was just our bonus one before we get started with the list. But anyway, if you would like to see more videos like this, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. And while you're at it, ding that bell, and that'll notify you whenever I have a new video coming out. And talking about videos, check out my playlist. Go ahead and click on the playlist page and you'll see over 40 playlists on there where you could have your choice of videos that you'd want to see on any subject about model railroading. So go ahead, check that out. Now let's get started with these questions and my answers. Okay, here comes question number 1. This is from the Doug Day. Tom, as the price of switch machines is so high, I've decided to use 9G servos. We need to know how to power them and how to control the speed and direction of them. We all need a really good tutorial on them. Well, the Doug Day, that's coming up in my Arduino series. In fact, I have a bunch of them right here. They're all hooked up with my Arduino Uno and a Servo board. Now, since the Arduino could probably only handle maybe 1 or 2 from the power from the Arduino, you're going to need a board from it, and I'll go over that in one of my videos on Arduino, but I'm starting from the very beginning, so it may take a while, but you will need a Servo board, and you can get them at Amazon. The link is in the description down below. Number 2. Tom, I have recently purchased 2 Brockman locomotives, a F7A diesel and 462 USPA Light Pacific, and I'm using the Digitrax DT400R. He screwed everything up and he wants to get it back. He says, maybe in one of your shows you could show us how to find the proper CV number to use. Well, I have a lot of videos on setting your CVs, and I think in one of them I have it. But if you want to go back to the factory default, go to CV08. And the best thing to do is look in your manual, and it tells you right there how to reset it. Reset it at 0008, and that'll reset everything, and 009 will reset everything except for your speed table setting. So if you're satisfied with your speeds on there, use 009. If you want to go back everything to your manufacturer default, 008. And look at your manual. Number 3. Scrumptious Model Train says, can the Arduino handle 14 volts AC? No, not directly, only 3.3 and 5 volts. But with a relay board that I don't have here, and I think I showed it on one of my other videos, you could either use a relay shield or a relay board to control anything, even 110 volts, anything you want, your lighting, your entire system with relays. I got to read all these off of my tablet here. Okay. Number 4. GM Cliff 555. What do you do to make a structure with a loading dock to be the proper height to a rail car on the track? Most buildings seems to be too low. Thank you, yours, Gary M. Well, Gary, like I said in my response, all you have to do is build up the bottom of it and put a foundation on it. And I think I showed a picture of that over there. But what I'll do, I have one that I did exactly that, and I'll put a picture of it up to show you that you could put a foundation on it. I didn't do a video on it, but I have some pictures. I'll have to dig them out and show them sometime later on. Okay, here's number 5. Michael Neski. Good stuff, but when Tom started with the resistors, I was lost. I needed training video for someone who doesn't even have the basics down. Most of the stuff I've reviewed online assumes the audience has a clue. I need to see the actual complete wiring scheme from the track wire switches, and he was talking about when I was doing the DCC feeders. Well, I have a lot of videos out there on basic wiring of both DC and DC. And what I told them, go and start from the beginning. Start with model railroading for beginning and hit all those videos there. I think I got about 22 of them now. And hit the ones that I have for specifically on DC wiring and DCC wiring. And you'll be able to see how it is. And when we talk about resistors, you won't be lost anymore. Okay, next one. 6. Mike Roselle. Hi, Tom. I have a problem on my layout, and I think you helped me with it. I have a 4x8 layout with a figure 8. I'm running a Digitrax Zephyr DCS50. I got a Digitrax AR1, but that's a big but. Okay, now, Mitch even sent me some pictures on my email and everything, and I told him he doesn't need an AR1 for a figure 8 because all you're doing, you're still going in the same direction on a figure 8. So you don't need a reversing circuit on there. Now, if you had a spur on there that connected both of the loops on there, then you would need an AR1, but the way he had it, he had a figure 8 and then he had some other tracks going up everywhere else, but there was no reversing section on there. So a figure 8, you're just doing a continuous loop. You're just folding it over on itself. So there's no need for an AR1. Okay, now, next one here. Number 7. Tom Bensky, useful info. I'm a novice on this stuff. What happens if you leave the transistor out of the circuit? Thanks. Now, I did a video on that showing you what happens when you leave the transistor out. And it was on this one right here where I took the scheme that Just Plug uses, and I put it on a circuit board. But when I had it on the breadboard, I showed when you take the transistor out, it doesn't work the same because the transistor acts as a switch to shut it off completely. If you don't have that transistor in there, you can't shut it off completely. And it also acts as a throttle where it will go all the way dim and all the way bright. Number 8. Okay, another one from Mitch Roselle. Tom, can you run your light leads out a foot or so from the circuit board, or will the power fall off that far out? I don't know anything about this, but it would be cool to have light on the layout. Well, what I told Mitch was, whenever you're putting your circuit board on there, put it as close as you can, and you could, like right here, this is over 5 foot. It's not going to affect your lighting with just 5 foot of wire on there. I mean, even if you're using 22 or 24 gauge wire on there, you're not, even if it does bring down the brightness of your lights, it's not going to be noticeable. Number 9. Okay, where do I get sketches for the Arduino? This is from Terry Lefevre. The sketches for the Arduino, you could get them directly from the Arduino webpage. In fact, even once you download the IDE, you could go up into the menu and go to examples, and there are many, many, many sketches in there that you could start out with. And I showed that in the last video on the intro for Arduino, and I think I touched a little bit on it on the video from Shout Out Monday Evening a couple of weeks ago. And number 10. Now here's another one from Robert Schwarm. I wrote to the Thunder and Lightning distributor to see if they knew how to dim down the lightning bolts LEDs. They offered no suggestion and support this product as is. I thought that if they are a bit bright for the situation, you simply extend the wires by soldering on an extension and setting them back or out of sight. Well, anyway, after a couple of back and forth comments, I found out that it was the Broadway Limited one, and he sent me what their response was from technical support, which was no help to him at all. Now in that thing, they did suggest to go out and buy more of the lighting that you can get on Amazon. It's the strip of lights, that I showed you some time ago. They showed the strip of lights that I got from Amazon. Just something similar to this is what they use for their lightning display. Now, and so I told them all you have to do is add a resistor to the power lead on there to dim it down just a little bit. And if you had the resistance substitution box, I have 2 of them. I have one here, which all you have to do is move jumpers around, or this one that I did a video on where we soldered it together. Use this one here and start at the lowest one. Now normally you would start at the highest, but since they already have resistors on there, put it to the value where you're satisfied with how bright your lightning bolts are. That's all you got to do. Sometimes manufacturers really don't give you a good answer, so you have to go elsewhere to get it. But that's my answers for today, and we'll have another one coming up later on this month, because this was only about 10 of them, 10 or 11 of them. I already got another 10, and I'm sure by the time another couple of weeks comes by, I'll have a lot more. So keep those comments coming, keep those questions coming. And if you have some pictures to send, I have a link to my email down in the description, tomstrainsandthings@gmail.com. Or you could also find it on my webpage, tomstrainsandthings.com. Up on the very top, it has my email up there. And on one of the pages, contact page, you could send me an email through that also. So if you have any questions, go ahead and leave a comment down below or send me an email. I'll be glad to answer them. So that's it for right now. I got another easy Arduino video coming up on Saturday. So take a look for that coming up. And eventually we'll get into the more complicated stuff with the servos. I know I had a lot of questions in there about servos, and really, you only need to move them about that far, just like that, to operate your turnouts. I mean, only maybe somewhere between 10 and 15 degrees is it. I mean, these servos go 180 degrees. You don't need that far. Some of them go all the way around. But all you need is maybe somewhere between 10 and 15 degrees. You just have to figure out where depending on how you mount them up underneath, is what degree you're going to need. So we'll see. And since I got this way, I got layout here, I can't move either way. So I'm stuck right here. So we'll see ya.